The work week is over. It's beautiful in downtown Minneapolis, and fans are arriving at Target Field, getting set to see the Twins take on the Texas Rangers. It should be a great series this weekend. Starts with a solid matchup on the mound tonight for Texas. Mike Minor goes. His ERA this season up over 5, but in his career against the Twins, he's 3-1 with an ERA below 2.5. He'll be opposed by the youngster, Fernando Romero. Got up to that blazing hot start. He's been a little bit off his game of late, but his numbers are great here at Target Field. 2-0 with an ERA below 3. Welcome inside Target Field. It is muggy, beautiful. It's a perfect summer night for baseball, and it's a perfect time to get the series set up as the Twins continue the homestand with 3 against the Texas Rangers. And we'll start with the visitors. Texas, a very strange sequence of games. They lost 7 in a row and then got hot. They've won their last 5. Within those 5, scoring 31 runs. That's over 6 per game. They have 32 wins on the season, which is just 1 less than the Minnesota Twins. So which team will show up tonight, we'll find out. The Twins are looking to wrap up their 3rd consecutive series win for the first time all year. 2 of 3 at Cleveland, 2 of 3 against the glitzy Red Sox. They've beaten pitchers like Kluber and Sale and Price, and they've done it with the bat of Eduardo Escobar, leading the major leagues with 32 doubles. He was plunked yesterday in our Sanford Health update. We hear from the manager, Paul Molitor.
He's sore, and there's some limitation because there's still a lot of swelling there, which impedes his ability probably to throw accurately as well as take his normal swing. So, you know, he's going to try to do a little bit of work today just to get a feel. You know, we get an emergency situation or something of his availability. But I'm fairly optimistic that, you know, another roughly a little less than 24 hours that he might be able to be ready to start a game tomorrow.
No Escobar tonight. The Twins will have to score some runs without him and support the youngster, Fernando Romero, who's looking for some home cooking. When we come back, Dick Raymer and Jack Morris show you what he has to do on the mound to give the Twins a chance to win tonight.
Is presented by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. We're at Target Field. Absolutely gorgeous weather for baseball. The opening game of a 3-game series between the Twins and the Texas Rangers. He'll go to the Hall of Fame 5 years after his career ends, but he's still going strong. Adrian Beltre hitting over 300 again this year. And for Eddie Rosario, got the game off yesterday, back in the starting lineup, one of the hottest hitters in the American League in the month of June. And we welcome you to Target Field. Dick Bramer along with Jack Morris, and it is a gorgeous night for baseball. The Twins got off to a slow start. You know that already. They hope to put together 4 winning months to end the season. So far, June's gone okay. They're 11-8 in the month of June, mainly because the starting pitching has been really good.
They're keeping them in ball games, and I think that's the plus for this team right now. Offense has been a little bit lackadaisical at times, but the starting staff has done their part in giving the team a chance to win ball games. They've turned it over, of course, because there's not a lot of complete games in the game anymore, but for the most part, the 5 starters that the Twins have been using have really done a good job overall. You see where their team ERA ranks here in the month of June. Tonight, Fernando Romero is going to take the mound, and you see the different splits for him for the course of this year. First 5 starts, he comes up to the big leagues, the adrenaline's flowing. He wants to make an impression not only to his teammates, but to the fan base, to stick in the big leagues. And then reality sets in after 5 starts, and maybe video gets out there. Other teams start knowing what he's going to feature, so it makes it a little tougher for him, but he's a good one. He's still got all the tools to win a ball game.
Last 3 starts have gone 6 innings, 5 innings, and 4 innings. He'd like to give the Twins some length with an effective start here tonight at a ballpark where he's pitched awfully well in his young major league career. The opener of a 3-game series between the Twins and the Rangers coming up in just a moment. Perfect weather for baseball on a Friday night at Target Field. The Twins took 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. They would like to do at least that against the Rangers. And Jeff Bannister's got his team playing their best baseball of the year. They had a 7-game losing streak, and they followed that immediately with a 5-game winning streak that they are taking into this ball game here tonight. And the Menards batting order for the Rangers. Some veterans and some younger players. Interesting mix. Shin-Soo Choo is their designated hitter. Elvis Andrus, Nomar Mazara, Adrian Beltre, Rougned Odor, Joey Gallo, Robinson Chirinos, Ronald Guzman, and Delino DeShields Jr.
And tonight's starting pitcher stats are brought to you by Home Furniture. Fernando Romero, he's making his 10th start And like Dick mentioned here in the open, that the innings have kind of dwindled. They're going the wrong direction, but he's got all the makeup and the kind of stuff. And hopefully tonight, warm weather, great crowd, he'll get that adrenaline flowing and pitch a good ball game.
He'll need to throw strikes to this guy because Shin-Soo Choo has always been a high on base percentage guy. That's the case again this year. 388 on base percentage and a foul back, 1-1. And he's come into this game now with a 34-game on base streak, which is pretty impressive. Either by hit or by walk, he's been on base.
He's got a great eye, and he's taken a lot of walks.
Fly down the left field line, and Rosario with a long run crossing the line, and it hits the diagonal wall right near the top of that short wall for strike 2. Chu, Andrus, and Mazzara facing Romero. Twins fans will remember that about 5 starts into his season, Jose Barrios ran into a bit of a rough spot and had to pitch his way through it and did so successfully. And that's kind of the challenge now facing Romero.
No question about it, and we'll get into that as this game progresses. I think it's natural for a guy to kind of have a little letdown mentally, and so much of this game is the mental aspect of it, and you've got to find ways to get yourself up and get motivated and kind of overtake some of the aches and pains that you're going to feel as you progress throughout a baseball season.
1-2. And a bouncer up the line, and that will trickle foul. Chu can be struck out, 76 of them in 282 at bats, but 49 walks, and his average is 277. And we see more and more of this, don't we? We see the Twins doing it with Joe Mauer when he's healthy. Get an on-base guy on base, whether he can run well or not. Get him in the leadoff spot and see if you can get some guys on base for the thunder that follows. And another foul. So 5 straight strikes, but they've all been fouled off by Chu. Royals coming here, or Rangers rather, coming here with a 3-game sweep over the Royals in Kansas City. Had an off day in town here yesterday. And now down and in 2-2.
Well, you've already mentioned several times, Dick, here in the last couple of weeks about the disparity in baseball. How you got X amount of teams playing so well. Maybe 4 teams this year in the American League potentially winning 100 games or more. And then we talk about the teams that are the opposite end of that, and they just happen to play the team on the opposite end of that, Kansas City. So, you know, you've got to look at that 5-game winning streak and put it in perspective, I guess. That's all I'm saying.
Now 3-2 to Chu, and he got him finally on strikes. 97-mile-per-hour fastball, and one away finally in the first inning.
Let's take a look at that last pitch, the strikeout pitch, and you see
that'll strike a lot of batters.
Yeah, I mean the movement of that pitch, it's 97 but sinking. How many guys throw a 97-mile-an-hour sinker?
1 down, and now Elvis Andrus. Very high, 88 miles per hour, ball 1. First meeting of the year between the two teams, so naturally Ranger batters are facing Romero for the first time. 2-0.
We've had the discussion too over the years of who is it has the advantage, you know, assuming the guy in the big leagues has been there a few starts but the other team hasn't seen him. Is it the advantage for the hitter, advantage for the pitcher? And I think the first few go-arounds is always advantage pitcher.
Andrus with just 10 walks and 64 at bats. He spent a good chunk of the year on the disabled list. 3-0 and over for a strike.
The one difference in today's generation is how much video is out there, and hitters can look at video of a guy that they haven't even seen, where generations ago that didn't exist.
But all he had left to do your homework on was the box score from his prior game.
Or you know, an advanced scout that might tell you, well, he's got a good breaking ball, and you know, you haven't seen it yet. You don't know how good it is.
3-2 now to Andrus, and a tapper foul. Teams still employ advanced scouts, but I can only think of a couple of them that do what they used to do, and that is go to the city where the next team is playing and scout that team. Now so much of it is done, almost all of it is done on video. And another foul. And Andrus, like Chu in front of him, has worked the count full and now wasting some 2-strike pitches with foul balls. .98 miles per hour down and away, and Andrus got a piece.
Yeah, right on the black. That's pretty good hitting right there, just to make contact with the ball and stay alive in the batter's box. Pretty much the same pitch that he struck out Chu with.
And he missed wide, and Andrus takes a walk with 1 down. The Rangers do what we've seen here in the first 2 plate appearances a lot. They strike out a lot, they walk a lot, they lead the major leagues in walks taken. And now Mazara will bat. Here's a look at the Twins out in the field. Good to see Eddie Rosario back out there in left. Ryan Lamar's in center. Max Kepler is in right. Taylor Motter in at third base for Eduardo Escobar. Adrianza and Dozier up the middle. Mauer at first. Bobby Wilson behind the plate. Seeing Motter start in the outfield, now starting at third base. The hope is that Eduardo Escobar might be there tomorrow afternoon. And Mazara takes the first pitch strike. Mazara putting up impressive numbers. One of the younger Texas players, but those are the type of numbers you would hope to get from a #3 hitter. 1-1.
He's very athletic for a guy his size, 6'4". They list him at 215.
A lot of deep counts. Already 20 pitches thrown for Romero. A dozen strikes. There's a tapper up the line. And Mauer will tag Mazara, and on the play, Andrus goes to second. 2 away, and that'll bring up Adrian Beltre.
Let's take a look at our Pizza Ranch for the win. And today's game is going to be about how efficient Romero is here, especially early in the game. Will pitch count climb? Those are always things to look at in any pitcher, especially a young pitcher who is kind of going the wrong way in some of his starts. And then keep the momentum. They've won 2 series in a row, 2 out of 3 in Cleveland, 2 out of 3 against Boston here at home. Let's finish off another homestand here by winning the series #1. You got to do that by winning tonight's game first.
And Beltre takes a first pitch strike. A bemused look by Beltre, who for years has been one of my favorite players to watch, albeit from a distance and playing for the other side. He's one of just a handful of players. You played with a number of them. I know you did in your 1 year with the Twins. Mr. Puckett, strike 2. A player who makes other players better. Beltre does that for the Rangers, and he's done it for a long time.
Well, you just talked about it already, but there's no question this guy's a Hall of Fame player, and he is a leader. Guys migrate towards him and kind of sponge off of his knowledge.
Beltre lunges at an 0-2 pitch, puts it in play, but makes the third out. Molitor. And in the foreground, a future Hall of Famer, Adrian Beltre. Paul's had the better of things against Jeff Bannister over the last 3 years. The Menards batting order for the Twins has their high on base guy, Joe Mauer leading off, then Eddie Rosario, Brian Dozier. Robbie Grossman hitting cleanup, A-Ray Adrianza moving up to 5th. Taylor Motter, Max Kepler, Ryan Lamar, Brian Wilson, and they'll take their hacks against lefty Mike Minor.
And again, for our home furniture starting pitcher stats, Mike Minor, he is basically a guy that came out of Vanderbilt as a starting pitcher in 2009. 2014, he went to the bullpen. He did very well there. They thought he could make him a starter again. Here he is.
Signed him to a 3-year deal. Twins saw him at the end of the year pitching out of the bullpen, closing games, in fact, at the end of the year for the Kansas City Royals. Here's Mauer to start things off, and there's a fastball in the outside corner.
He's coming off 2 quality starts, and last time out 7 innings, I believe. Let me make sure of that.
1 strike to Mauer, and outside 1-1. He has given up a lot of home runs. In 72 1/3 innings, he's given up a dozen home runs. Foul back.
Well, he finished the season last year with Kansas City, and he was their closer at the end of the season, believe it or not. And he parlayed that into a nice little 3-year deal with Texas.
Look how shallow they're playing Mauer in center field. That's Delino DeShields Jr., and he's about 30 feet short of standard depth for a center fielder. A roller hits the mound. Andrus flips the first one away. Rangers out in the field haven't been very good this year. We'll see how they do in this series, and here's how they line up tonight. Joey Gallo is in left. DeShields is in center. Nomar Mazara is in right. And then Beltre at third. We'll see him DH probably once or twice in this series. Andrus Odor up the middle. Guzman at first, and Robinson Chirinos behind the plate. Rangers have committed 61 errors, and Beltre has committed 7 of them.
Which is not typical. We talked about him with over 3,000 hits going in the Hall of Fame, but he could qualify for the Hall of Fame defensive third baseman too.
He's won Gold Gloves there.
He's been great.
Eddie Rosario held out of the ball game yesterday because of a sore right shoulder. Back in the lineup tonight. Checked his swing, and it's 2-0. Rosario had some shoulder issues in spring training, and Escobar has an elbow issue. You can see he's got the pad on that right elbow that was drilled by Rick Porcello yesterday.
He doesn't wear those. When he goes to the plate, he doesn't wear any of those pads, and right now I know in particular one radio guy went up to him today and pushed it right in that spot and said, "How's that feel?" Can you imagine who that was?
Why would Corey do such a thing? Tap back to the mound, and Minor has an easy play for out number 2. Talked to Escobar today as he was around the batting cage, and he said he's fine, oddly fine swinging left-handed, the side that he was at when he got hit, but he says it really hurts when he tries to swing right-handed because the tricep and the back arm gets more extension when you're trying to swing. So the hope is he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. And I said, putting a lot of ice on it, and he said mucho, which there's a ball whacked to the left field corner. That's the first hit of the game. Dozier will round first. Gallo has a good arm, and Dozier will be out by plenty. Wasn't even that strong of a throw by Gallo. Dozier tried for the extra base with 2 out, and he becomes the 3rd out as we head to the 2nd inning.
and the Twins. Time for some clubhouse scoop. We'll start with Irvin Santana, who threw a bullpen with hitters for the first time now, trying to get back on track. And very encouraging from Paul Molitor. The grip of the baseball, good stuff. Felt good after about 35 pitches. One of the batters he threw to was Jorge Polanco, who with that finger that he slammed on the car door, recovering from that. He said the batting was okay unless he had to reach for the ball. So still a progression to have there for Polanco. And then Taylor Motter, guys, you mentioned it, an outfielder being pushed into duty here in the infield. He said he grew up high school baseball playing shortstop. He's actually more comfortable in the infield than he is the outfield, even though that's where he's basically played for the Twins so far this season. And they'll have to use him at least for another night here until Eduardo Escobar can get back in there.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Strike one to Rougned Odor. Pulled foul, 2 strikes. And I think unless something fundamentally changes with how rosters are constructed, you'll see more and more hybrid players like Taylor Motter, who can play in the outfield and in the infield. Well, for a while we had Eduardo Escobar and Eduardo Nunez that also saw some time out in the outfield because most teams are carrying 13 pitchers now. Here's a pop-up, only one infielder on that side, and it's Adrianza. Motter had swung over to the right side after the second strike, one away.
I totally agree with what you're saying there, Dick, with the number of guys that you need to keep in your bullpen. The value of your utility guys, your bench players, have to be a utility guy. Put them here, there, wherever, and it's usually based on injury. I mean, let's face it, that's how they get their playing time. It used to be the bench players were guys that might be DHs in some generations, guys that could hit,
right,
you know, come in late to maybe hit a home run, and those guys have disappeared in the game because of the value of protecting a guy on a daily basis.
What, 5 outfielders, 2 infielders, something like that. Here's a fly down the left field line, and it's chased by Motter. Oh, what a catch! What a catch by Taylor Motter! He ran 100 feet to get there. 2 away. That's one of the finest foul ball catches you will ever see.
Well, maybe it's going to be a case of Eduardo Pip, Wally's little brother.
He was going to catch it with his glove. He's going to catch it with his mouth.
That's awesome. Danny Glad would be proud of that.
That was impressive. 2 down with the shift. He was the only guy who had a chance at that pop-up, but now Robinson Chirinos takes ball 1.
See, now if I was pitching and the guy did that, I'd come into the dugout, make sure he catches his breath and go right up to him and say, you know, that's exactly why we put you out there.
Now, if a pitcher ran that far, we could go to a commercial break because they would give the pitcher 2 minutes to recover from that little sprint. They are a little bit pampered, I have to admit. 1-1 to Chirinos, one of 5 different catchers the Rangers have already used this year. One and one from Romero, hoping to have quicker outs. So far he's gotten 2 of them, quicker outs than he had in the first inning. Out of short center, Dozier retreats onto the grass, makes the catch. 3 weak pop-ups for Romero in a nice crisp second inning. that the Twins envision coming out of spring training. It'll be Grossman, Adrianza, and Mater. There's a DQ combination, and the Twins have had that type of flat season. They have been under 500 against the good teams, under 500 against the bad teams, and at some point that needs to change. At some point you need to play competitive against the better teams like Boston and Cleveland, and they've done that. But you can't stub your toe against the likes of the Cincinnati Reds or the Kansas City Royals.
If you want to pretend that you're a playoff team, you've got to play better than 500, period, against everybody.
Easy to Hopper, and Beltre with a drifting throw, scooped out by Guzman. One quick out here in the second. And that'll bring up A-Ray Adrianza, the shortstop.
Ronald Guzman is quite the big guy, but he has a big wingspan. They say he can really pick it at first base and stretch. He can really cover some ground at first base because of his wingspan.
And strike one to Adrianza. And a swing and a miss. 0-2. This is Adrianza's preferred side as a switch hitter. Getting much better from this side of the plate. 319 in fact. Down and in, 1-2. Great opportunity for Adrianza. We don't know how much longer that will last, but as others around him on the left side of the infield have been out of the lineup for a variety of reasons, Adrianza has done a decent job filling in. Cracked foul.
I think he's done a very good job. Defensively, I think he's improved. He still makes the occasional error, which what the heck, we're all human, right? But getting to play every day, I think, has been a plus for him. And I think you see steady improvement, which is what you want.
1-2. Inside, nearly hit him. 2-2. You don't know how a player is going to respond with increased playing time. We didn't know Eduardo Escobar could remotely be what he has become until he got more playing time and more at bats in the big leagues. That's one lifted foul over the screen, out of play.
To your point, it's kind of odd to see Eduardo Escobar on the bench tonight. You know, here's a guy that was his role off and on for 2-3 days at a time, and you know, part of his charm was to be the bench jockey and have fun with his teammates on the bench. Well, he's become the everyday guy and the go-to guy, and now he's gonna revert back to having some fun on the bench tonight.
Given what he told me, I wonder whether, if it were a right-handed pitcher going tonight, whether he might not be in the lineup. Swing and a miss. Adrianza swings over the top, 2 away. And it'll bring up Mater. Oh, we shortchanged Mater on that foul ball catch. That he ran 100 feet. He ran 125 feet. That was a heck of a play.
That's why they put him out there.
Down and in, ball one. DeMater looking for his first hit as a Twin. Miner had an awful May, pitched to an ERA of just under 7, but so far in June in 2 starts, about 3.5. 1-1.
He's 3-1 with a 2.45 ERA versus the Twins with 4 holds. They were all 11 career relief appearances, and all in 2017 with the Royals.
We've seen 93, now 94 miles per hour. 1-2 to Mater. That's driven to the gap towards center field, but DeShields glides over to make the catch. Pretty well hit ball for the third out. And on we go to the third inning.
Playing at Target Field, and I'm Marnie Gellner in Cedar Rapids with the Twins Class A affiliate, the Colonels, playing against the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. And last night in the third inning, top prospect Royce Lewis lined a low pitch right off of the pole in left field for his 7th home run of the season. Royce is the #1 prospect for the Twins, but he's one of a handful of some really promising prospects playing this year for the Colonels, guys.
Yeah, Marty, Alex Kirilloff just promoted a couple days ago. Brewster Gratterall on the pitching side. Akil Baddoo. Also, they got a lot of talent on that Cedar Rapids team. Here is Ronald Guzman leading off the third. First pitch fouled off. Dick Bramer, Jack Morris joined for a few innings by Justin Morneau as Guzman takes outside 1-1. Did you go through the Midwest League?
I did. Played in Quad Cities, and we played one home game. It was about 15 degrees and snowing, and wind or snow blowing sideways, and then the stadium flooded, and then we played. This is no joke. We played 42 games in a row on the road. We played 20 games, and we had a day off.
The ballpark was flooded, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
I remember that.
Mississippi flooded and came over the banks, and the stadium was up to the outfield wall, so it was probably 4.5 feet of water on the field, and it didn't get all the way out of there and cleaned up and usable again until the All-Star break in the minor league. So right around now was when we would have got back in there, and then that's when I got promoted up to the Florida State League. So I enjoyed my time, though. There's some great ballparks in that league. We had a lot of fun. It's your first taste of, you know, the big stadiums and long schedule and all the rest of it.
This one lifted to left, and Rosario comes in a few steps. Well, I got my start broadcasting in Cedar Rapids, and at the time they said that was the jewel of the Midwest League, and I know that they completely redone that ballpark, and it's still considered one of the best in the Midwest League, if not the best. But did you find as you went through the minor leagues that the quality of the ballparks got better?
For the most part, yes. I mean, at the lowest level in the Gulf Coast League, you're playing in the big league spring training facilities, so you can't really beat that. But yeah, as you move up, the stadiums get a little bigger. Some of them in AA and AAA have that second tier on them, and it feels almost like a big league stadium. And I remember my favorite one that I went to was Dayton in the Midwest League. I think they drew like 11,000. You're playing a single A game. Yeah, I think they had the All-Star game there that year, and we went there, and it was, I mean, the atmosphere there, people were into the game. It was just, it was like, oh, this is what professional baseball is. Not playing in front of my grandma and my grandpa down in the Gulf Coast League and 6 other people, but you know, it gave you that taste of what it's like to play in front of a big crowd. It was a good league.
1-1 to DeShields, and now 2-1 with Shin-Soo Choo to follow.
I want to chime in here a little bit about something that I found out. Texas's manager, Jeff Bannister, and all the analytics and all that, they discovered that when the starting pitcher throws 20 or more pitches in the first inning, they win 60% of their games. And if they throw 10 or less pitches in the first inning, they lose 60% of their games.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would that be?
Well, they make the pitcher work, apparently.
Oh, from the other side?
Yes.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
The visiting.
Aha.
In other words,
your opponent,
Fernando Romero.
Right.
If he threw 24 pitches in the first inning. So I'm curious to see how this plays out, because the odds say they should win the game now.
Motter gets the second hop, fires across, 2 away. But of course, a lot of that depends on what happens in innings 2, 3, and 4. And Romero had a quick 3 up, 3 down second inning. He's got a couple of quick outs here in the third, and now Shin-Soo Choo.
Well, I think what that leads to most of the time is the starter's out of the game early, and then you're facing the 5th or 6th arm in the bullpen instead of the starter going into the 7th, and you're facing the
Right.
specialists and the setup guy and the closer. You're facing either the long guy or the guy who's maybe not the sharpest guy in the bullpen. He might have good stuff, but there's a reason he's not pitching the 8th or the 9th.
Right.
8th or the 9th. He's pitching the 5th or the 6th. And when you get that guy in the game, then that's when you end up scoring a lot more runs. I think the most runs are scored, I believe, in the 6th inning. So it's interesting. I wonder if that's something they focus on as a team.
The reason they did it is because he was trying to teach a lot of his young players to take better at bats early in the game and to work the count a little bit. They were making quick outs, and he asked his analytic department to give him an idea of how it all plays out, and that's what they discovered. So he's tried to get him to take more walks early in the game to run the counts up early.
But that's another reason why it makes sense in this day and age for a Shin-Soo Choo or a Joe Mauer to hit in the leadoff spot, because we've already seen Joe very often will have a 6 or 7 pitch plate appearance in the first inning. Very often Brian Dozier would swing at the first pitch and double or pop up.
Yeah, and it doesn't give that starting pitcher a chance to get comfortable either. You know, he's out there struggling through the first, and we were talking about this before the game. Most of the time you're going to get those pitchers is going to be the first or the second inning, those aces, before they settle in. So if you could force him to be uncomfortable from the start of that game and know that he's going to have to work to get through 5 innings after throwing 20+ pitches in the first, you're already mentally, affecting his game plan.
Yeah, I'd take it almost to a different level. Try to get him in the stretch in the first inning. You know that if somebody's on base and he's out of the stretch in the very first inning, he's already out of his comfort zone. It's going to take him longer to get a feel for that mound.
Full count again to Shin-Soo Choo. Romero struck him out swinging in the first on a 3-2 pitch. This one tapped up the line. I can't picture you. You drew your share of walks, but I can't picture you batting leadoff.
Neither can I.
Steal second?
Maybe
Steal third?
Maybe in the second inning. Yeah, that was one position I never hit it, and I never had any desire to hit it.
And again, Choo strikes out on a down and in fastball. 3 no-hit innings for Fernando Romero. Minnesota. Only in Minnesota will you find the Alexandria Lakes area with unique collections of museums, great festivals, lakeside resorts. Alexandria is home to the Minnesota Lakes Maritime Museum, featuring historic boats, resort history, fishing memorabilia. Find endless ideas for the perfect getaway. There's a high fly to right field off the bat of Kepler. Lazard under it. Go to exploreminnesota.com and share your favorites with hashtag #OnlyInMN. One quick out here in the third for Mike Minor, and that'll bring up Ryan Lamar. Twins have one hit, but on that hit, Dozier tried to stretch a single into a double and was thrown out for the third out of the first inning.
Justin and I were talking for well over an hour today. Old baseball stories, baseball stuff, philosophies and all that. We were talking about pitch count. The fact that strikeouts have become a part of the game more so on both sides. How they're adored by your pitching staff and not worried about that much by the hitting. And you get a one pitch out, it's almost like a breath of fresh air for the team.
Bullet to center.
Two pitch like that.
Not unlike Taylor Motter's liner that ended the second inning. A very well hit ball for out number 2. And just 3 pitches into the third inning, he's got 2 outs.
And the leadoff batter's the one that set that up. But I don't have a problem with Kepler going up there swinging. But if you make it out on that and you're facing the starting pitcher, usually the guy that's following you is supposed to take the next pitch. So you don't give a guy a 3-pitch inning. So a smart pitcher will take advantage of that. He goes 0-1. Now Adrianza can't give up. He can't put himself 0-2.
Right.
So we got 2 outs on 3 pitches because the leadoff hitter swung at the first pitch.
Lamar, you mean?
Yes.
Second.
Yes.
Well, he got 8 outs on his first 25 pitches. And he delivers strike 1 to Wilson, and now a ball.
But you see it quite often that the leadoff hitter, and that's why some of the criticism that gets aimed towards Joe and him not swinging at the first pitch, when he's leading off an inning, leading off a game, it doesn't do anyone else in the lineup any favors if you go up there and make it out on the first pitch.
No.
Popped up, back and out of play.
We've talked about that too, how the leadoff man is supposed to work the count. And if you can have him throw the kitchen sink in the first at bat, everybody's seen it already. And I know it's different in the box than it is on the bench when you're watching it, but you're absolutely right. And as far as a pitcher's perspective, you pray that that guy swings early that first at bat because you don't want to expose everything early.
1-2 to Bobby Wilson. And a half swing, but he went. 1 hit through the first 3 innings for both teams, and we head to the 4th scoreless. Hit so far. You can see the Twins take on the Orioles Saturday, July 7th. The first 20,000 fans get a Twins flash cap that changes color when the light hits it. Go to twinsbaseball.com/tickets to learn more. A chameleon cap. What a gorgeous night, and how lucky are we to be able to watch a baseball game here at Target Field. On a gorgeous night, Elvis Andrus will lead off the 4th. He's the only base runner the Rangers have had. He drew a 3-2 walk from Fernando Romero. Romero's pitch count is almost double what Minor's is, but both pitchers have pitched well. There's a strike on the outside corner.
Kind of going back with Andrews, what you guys were talking about earlier, of you never know what a guy's going to develop into. He was always a young athletic player. He was always good defensively. And the last few years, he's really figured out how to hit.
Which is why you see the Twins playing him pretty much straight up. That's almost a rarity now, where a hitter doesn't have a tendency that is perceived, and teams adjust with the shift. But we would have seen this defensive alignment 25 years ago. Tapped foul, 1-2.
You just brought up a great point, something I had never thought about, but by what you just said, you're absolutely right. Great hitters take away a shift, unless you're a pure power guy, unless you're, you know, a Jim Thome type that just, he doesn't care about the shift. Ted Williams don't care about the shift.
David Ortiz, yeah.
Well, we'll see it later this inning when we see Beltre. Twins won't shift him because he's going to the Hall of Fame, because he used the whole field as a hitter.
Yeah, you don't get 3,000 hits hitting the ball on one side of the field.
No, you don't. You get about half that many. Bouncer to third. Mater's got a long throw, and he can't even make it. Ball came out of his glove on the backhand side, and an infield hit for Andrus is the first Texas hit of the night.
I really think Mater went after that ball thinking it was going to be foul. He didn't really try to round it at all. He's got a long way to go, but I think he was thinking that ball was going to be foul, and then he just kind of whiffed on it once he picked up the ball.
Now Nomar Mazara hit a ground ball to Mauer his first time up. Hasn't been really any hard contact against Romero so far. That was not the case in his last start in Cleveland. Gave up a couple of home runs, 6 hits, only lasted 4 innings. But again, we saw Jose Barrios go through a 4-start stretch where he was really struggling, seemed to have lost his command. Hit to center, and Lamar comes in and can't make the play. The ball hit right off the end of the bat, and Andrus, to his credit, maybe not by the flight of the ball, but the sound of the contact, realized he better get close to second base, because that ball's going to die as soon as it leaves the infield.
That was a nice job around the bases right there. Off the bat, it looked like Lamar was going to get to that ball easy, and he read that ball really well. It's almost like he knows his teammates.
He probably had a better angle than we do, though.
But you could hear it, broken bat, and I think it's a lot easier to hear that at field level to see. And it's interesting when you look at the contrast of the two teams.
Yeah.
With DeShields playing so shallow in center.
Yeah.
He catches that ball in the air, and you know, it's just amazing how different teams play guys differently, and their analytics tell them to play, you know, do different things.
Strike one on the outside corner to Beltre. Hit a ground ball to Dozier his first time up.
And you look at one of the greatest center fielders of all time. You watch Torrey Hunter, and he played deep. He said anything in front of him is going to be a single, anything over his head, either a homer or he's going to catch it. So I think there's different ways to look at it. You take away the extra base hits if you have to.
Up the middle, and a bleeder through for a hit. Andrus around third, he'll score. And the Rangers with 3 scratch singles here in succession to get the first run of the game. Andrus chopped one for an infield hit. Mazara cracked his bat, and I'm not so sure Beltre didn't crack his.
That's baseball. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but you got to put the ball in play, and all 3 of these balls, like you mentioned, Dick, were not hit hard, none of them, but they were all hitting the right spot. The old saying, hit them where they ain't. That's what they did.
And that bat right there looked like, to me, like he was making a conscious effort that he was going to hit the ball in the big part of the field, because that ball was 4 inches inside off the plate. He hit it off the hit, but he stayed through it so well, and he had his approach, and he stuck to his approach, and he got rewarded for having a solid approach.
Rougned Odor missing, or takes inside, ball 1. Of course, Mauer holding Beltre at first. Motter even with the bag at third. Adrianza and Dozier at double play depth. Fouled back. Now Odor's an interesting case because he looked like he was going to be a rising star, but the last couple of years haven't been good for him at all. Now he's picked it up considerably in June, but he still strikes out at an alarming rate. 155 at bats, 45 strikeouts. Like one every 3 at bats, and Romero could sure use one here.
Got to believe part of the reason for that is when he came up, he wasn't trying to hit home runs, and now that's the cool thing to do in the big leagues.
Well, guys get rewarded for it very well if you're able to hit for some power, and I think some guys, it lasts. You see, it seems like it lasts for a couple of years, and then teams start to adjust. They see that guys are trying to pull homers, and I feel like Dozier's been pitched quite differently this year.
And Romero goes to second, and they'll get one, and that's it. Another weirdly hit baseball. And Romero fielded it with his back to home plate, and credit Mazzara with a good read. He scampered home, and it's 2-0.
And that's, I think, in a couple years, Fernando Romero makes a different play on that ball. You've got in your mind that you're going to turn 2 if the ball comes back to you, and instead of letting your instincts take over and go, you know what, we're probably not going to turn a double play on a ball hit that softly.
Right.
Take the out at home, and you know, that's just experience. He's trying to make sure he gets an out, and the inning, you know, gave up 3 kind of cheap hits, and all of a sudden he's just trying to, you know, slow the bleeding a little bit, and ends up making a choice that he'll probably look back on and wish he could change later, but hopefully he learns from it the next time something like that happens. He's already been through it. He's on a big league field, and now he's got that experience and make a little better decision the next time.
So 4 softly hit balls, but 3 go for hits. It's 2-0. A runner at first, 1 down for Joey Gallo. And missing inside.
Pace of this game has really slowed down now that he's pitched out of the stretch. Talked about the 3 hits in a row, and that's going to obviously slow the game down. But Romero himself is being a little bit more cautious now, making sure every pitch is off the barrel, off the inside part, off the heart of the plate.
2-0.
I think that's one of those things you watch for, either as Paul Mullen or the manager. You sit there and you go, okay, he's given up some hits, hasn't really given up anything hit hard. Does he shy away from contact, or is he still attacking the strike zone? Has he changed his approach at all? And I think maybe that's what we see, that visit from Bobby Wilson right there, is to go out there and go, hey, you haven't thrown the ball poorly, you've given up a couple runs, but keep attacking, keep trusting your stuff, keep going after him.
I think it's a sign of the development of a pitcher. And we've seen Barrios be so much better at adversity in how he gets out of jams. And if you're a guy that can figure that out and get out of those situations, prevent them and get out of them, you're probably going to be a better pitcher in the long run. And Romero just doesn't have enough experience at the big league level to really have gone through some of that. But he will, and we'll see if 2 runs will be stopped right there. And boys can get in, give him some support.
Guys, what date is it today?
June 22nd, according to my scorecard.
June 22nd. You know, Joey Gallo has 109 strikeouts already. Left center field. And Rosario with the catch. Odor retreats to first. And that throw right there. Not in.
Was that necessary?
Well, but it, I think, is an encouraging sign, because you know, Rosario been having an issue, was held out of the ball game yesterday because of his shoulder, and his shoulder looked just fine. Now time for Lowe's whole team together, focusing on the Twins' last 6 games against 2 really good teams, Cleveland in Cleveland, and then here with Boston, and they've won 4 of the 6 games. 2 down, and now Robinson Chirinos. Ball 1.
I think the thing that's hurting him the most right now is that he's 1-0, 2-0 on almost every hitter. He's fallen into hitters counts, and you don't get those chases. I talk about this quite a bit, but you don't get chases on borderline pitches when you're in a 1-0 or 2-0 count. You're forced to throw the ball over the big part of the plate. If you're 0-1 in your head, and then you get those borderline pitches, hitters swing at it because they're afraid to go 0-2, and you know, I think he needs to settle in and find a way to throw strike one, and he'll be able to pitch a lot deeper into ball games and this ball game, and moving forward he'll be better for it.
And umpires typically don't give you the benefit of the doubt when you're not in the strike zone.
70th pitch of the night for Romero, and dug out by Wilson. 2-0.
I think it's even more magnified in today's generation. If you misfired and the catcher had to go to his right off the plate, go to his left, or up and down, and then you threw one right down the middle, in our generation, you probably get that call the ball. Just because you missed so poorly, I'm not going to give you anything. And can't blame an umpire, really.
Romero gets a swinging strike. 2-1.
Yeah, and I remember facing early in my career, facing the veteran guys, and they throw that first one on the black away, and then throw the next one just off of that to see how much they could get.
Right.
And then you go 0-2, and there's no way you were going to turn around and say anything, because you know if they threw it 3 inches further off that, you're going to get rung up. So,
welcome to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Backhanded by Andreazza, nicely comes up firing. Bauer with a backhanded dig, and the inning ends. 3 soft singles lead to 2 Texas runs, and it's 2-0 Rangers.
Little help from his friend right there. Great play
On both ends.
Sports North is presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities. By Grant Casino, the best stories start here. And by Wisconsin Dells, the water park capital of the world. 2-0 Rangers. Twins will hit now in the 4th inning. Mike Miners faced the minimum number of hitters, even though he has given up a hit. Brian Dozier's 2-out single became the 3rd out when he tried for a double. Mauer bounced to short his first time up. Twins, of course, have had their issues with left-handers, even though they won against the Red Sox with Chris Sale and David Price going.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Justin, if he has any thoughts on that himself. We saw in Detroit, Matt Boyd and Blaine Hardy gave the Twins lineup a little bit of a left-handed pitcher, a little do-a-do-a-do, I call it, just soft throwers. Is there something to it?
I think with everyone throwing, I think the average fastball velocity is somewhere around 93 miles an hour. And I think anytime now that we see anyone not throwing that hard, everyone just expects that they should crush them. They should be hitting homers. It should be driven balls, extra bases. And on a guy that doesn't throw as hard, you need to actually shrink your strike zone a little bit and realize that he can't live in the middle of the plate. Yeah. He's going to try and nibble, and the more you chase those borderline pitches, the more he's going to go out there and continue getting outs and feed off your aggressiveness. Sometimes you have to scale it back a little bit and force those guys that don't throw as hard and that throw more stuff to just sit back and take your base hits up the middle, take your singles, and don't go up there thinking, because this guy doesn't have the velocity that we've seen every day, we should be scoring a bunch of runs. You take the same approach, consistent, solid approach, and try and go with that. Don't look at the velocity and think, we should have 6 runs in the 3rd inning or whatever it is, and you end up mentally taking bad at bats consistently.
And now 3-2 to Joe Mauer. Well, the Twins were handcuffed a couple weeks ago by Wade LeBlanc. I heard an interview that he did on the radio, which essentially said what you said. Here's the 3-2 to Mauer. Swing and a miss. A breaking ball that got Joe to swing for strike 3, 1 down. LeBlanc said, you know, it's almost as if the average fastball is 93 and you throw 5 miles beneath that, it's as effective as it used to be when you'd face someone who threw 5 miles more than the average. Replay brought to you by Ram.
I think Justin nailed it personally. You know, it's all about discipline, and we've talked for a long time today about a lot of things, but one of the things we were talking about is looking for a pitch that you can hit. Why look for something you can't? And you know, if a guy is going to expand the zone on you, then take half the plate, right?
Yeah, I mean, you
look for one or the other. Can't really.
Yeah, it's having a plan and then trying to stick to your plan, have the discipline to stick to your plan. Hit something you want to hit, not what the pitcher wants you to hit. So if you're up there and looking for the outer half of the plate, the inner half of the plate, whatever it is, trust your plan and stick to that.
Another foul off the bat of Rosario, and this, like the one a moment ago, spinning back into the seats.
I think you see so many of those guys in those situations that get into a 2-0 count, an offensive count, and all of a sudden you see guys soft contact on a pitch they weren't looking for or didn't want to swing at. I understand I got fooled as much as anybody, but those at bats bothered me more than anything when I got away from my plan as opposed to just getting fooled. I mean, you can't go up there and say you got fooled 2 at bats out of every 4 at bats you're taking. It just doesn't work. That tells me your focus or your plan isn't very good, and you need to have a good plan, and then you need to be able to stick to it. 2 strikes to Rosario with 1 quick out here in the 4th. Rosario flicks it behind 3rd. Beltre will chase it. Here comes Gallo, and it's Beltre in foul ground, covering the ground necessary, 2 away. And that'll bring up Brian Dozier. Well, the Twins facing a left-hander, and the batting order is such that 2 lefties who handle lefties well, Mauer and Rosario, fill the first two spots. I remember for so many years it didn't make any difference who the left-hander was. Either you or Joe would hit 3rd, and the other guy had hit 4th, back to back in the middle of the lineup. That was remarkable to behold because you both did so well against lefties. Ron Gartner wasn't going to move you out of there. And we had Cuddy in there in the middle every once in a while, but yeah, it was, and that was one of those things he took pride in. I think in the minor leagues, I've talked about this too. You know, you don't worry about what hand the guy is pitching with. You're not made aware of that until you're in the big leagues and somebody says, oh, it looks like he's going to platoon, or looks like he can't hit lefties after 20 at bats or whatever it is. And in the minor leagues, you just go out there and give me a bat. I don't care. I got to get hits.
Popped up. It'll look like it'll be another quick inning. This in foul ground. Chirinos had to sidestep the bat, and he in fact stepped on it twice, but he made the catch, and the Twins go down 1-2-3. Pepsi fans of the game celebrating a 9th birthday. So happy birthday.
At the ballpark.
Great way to spend your birthday.
That's how I spent most of mine.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
May.
Okay.
Hey, same with me.
Yeah.
We're at the ballpark.
1-0 to Ronald Guzman. 6 men batted, 2 of them scored in the 4th inning. Guzman, DeShields, and Chu will bat in the Texas 5th. Missing first, then missing again. 2-0. And swing and a miss. What is it about Romero? I mean, that was 94, but it looked like he was playing catch. I mean, he does not appear to be a max effort guy.
I call it the wrist, the strong wrist. I think there's guys that just, the ball looks effortless, and yet their arm speed isn't all that much more than anybody, but they can, their ability to bend their wrist and just generate speed from their hand is outstanding.
And for the modern analytics people, that translates to spin rate. So a guy who has that finish with his hand and is able to go through creates that spin rate, and that creates that life in the zone, and it looks effortless. And then as the hitters, we say, the ball seems like it jumps on you. All of a sudden, that cutout right before home plate, that ball just sort of takes off. It's got almost like it's got another gear, and it just all of a sudden you go to swing and it's by you. I mean, you saw him, it was a 2-0 count, and he knows a fastball is coming, and he still missed it.
Here is DeShields, a bunt, and Romero underhands it, a sacrifice by the number 9 batter. And with 1 down and a man at second, let's go to Kevin Gord.
Yeah, Hope Week, guys, all week long. Great work by the Minnesota Twins off the field, giving back to the community. Last night, Eduardo Escobar hosted Dinner with Esky at his favorite restaurant, Fogo de Chao, here in downtown Minneapolis. Spending time with local Spanish-speaking youth. His favorite restaurant. They had the meat parade on display. And today, Joe and Maddie Maurer hosted their annual Maurer and Friends Classic, inviting patients from Toulette's Children's Hospital here to Target Field for a picnic and games, along with T.C. Bear, Zach Parisi, and even Justin Morneau there, guys. What a cool day that was.
Thank you, Kevin. And a first pitch strike to Shin-Soo Choo. We applaud Joe and Maddie for putting that event together. What a gorgeous day for that. We talked about how great the weather is tonight. It was beautiful earlier in the day for that.
It was perfect. We had a great time out there.
1 strike to Choo. He struck out twice on 3-2 fastballs from Romero. This one blasted, and he caught up with that fastball and made it a 4-0 ball game. So a walk to lead off the inning, and now a 2-run blast, and the Rangers have jumped out 4-0.
See the last pitch, I'm sure it was up in the zone. Probably was fairly flat. Here it comes. Wanted to go down and in, left it belt high.
You're right, though. We've seen fastballs with a lot of movement, and that one, at least from the center field camera, looked straight as a string.
And that sometimes that at bat, as a hitter as hot as Choo has been, you can mentally take yourself out of that at bat with the base open right there. You go up there and you're not sure if he's going to mess around and throw some change-ups and bounce some sliders and try and get you to chase something. And it looked like he showed him from the first pitch, okay, I'm going to attack him. He swung and missed the fastball, and Choo, being a veteran hitter, said, well, you're not going to beat me with that again. And he tried to come in, and Choo didn't miss it. It seemed like a guy who's been around facing a young pitcher almost convinced him to throw another fastball and was able to really take advantage.
1-2 now to Andrus. He's reached twice, an infield hit and a walk. Popped up. It's backing out of play.
Well, it opens up the discussion again is what's going on with Fernando Romero, and we've seen how 1 inning can affect him. He really slowed down 3, and we can acknowledge there were 3 weak hits, but they're still hits, and somehow he's starting to make mistakes. And I think we go back to that first inning and his high pitch count. it leads to stress in the middle innings. Right now his pitch count's right there at 85. He's almost at the end of the rope, and we're only in the 5th inning.
But yet you look back and the 3 soft hits in the 4th that led to a couple of runs. At least in my score sheet, the only well-hit ball here tonight was Chu's home run.
But it's falling behind in the counts, and then the walks, leadoff walk. That all kind of adds up, and then you're pitching from the stretch where you're not as comfortable, and you don't throw as many pitches, hopefully, as a pitcher. But it just kind of all adds up, and then you see a guy not able to pitch deep into games, and going back to that 60%, like you talked about earlier. If you have that high stress, high pitch count 1st inning, then it really affects the pitcher the 2nd and 3rd time through the order if he makes it that far.
Fouled back.
Well, I think it's always been the case, even with the great pitchers, that the early innings are their troublesome innings.
Right.
And we talked about that today too, Justin and I did. But the bottom line is, for me, is at some point, if you have those, which everybody's going to have them, you also have to have some quick innings.
Right.
So that the overall effect is minimized, and then you're able to maybe extend deeper.
Well, the other thing that hasn't happened tonight either, the Twins haven't put anything together offensively. So he's had these long and these stressful innings, and then he goes and sits down, and you have a 4-pitch inning, and then he's right back out on the mound, and then he comes in and you have a 10-pitch inning, whatever it was, and all of a sudden, he's on the field most of the game and not really getting a chance to catch his breath in between innings. What's funny, and I want to address this, whether we get to it right here or not.
There's strike 3. How about we address it in the bottom of this inning? 2-run home run for Shin-Soo Choo, and it's 4-0 Texas. By Fernando Romero. We've been dealing with prospects here throughout the pregame show, and take a look at some of the first rounders. Nick Gordon is right there, and he might be the first of the group to be called up. Tyler Jay pitching out of the bullpen, and then the guy in Cedar Rapids, Royce Lewis, just turned 19 years old, and he is the youngest player, at least at one point he was the youngest regular player in the Midwest League, and he's hitting over 300, 19 years old, and he's playing against guys who are 21, 22, and 23. Robbie Grossman leads off the Twins' 5th. And a strike 1 and 2.
It's been a long time, so excuse me, but it's hard for me to go back. But I do remember I started in Double-A, and we had a 19-year-old shortstop named Trammell. And I got and I've got to think what Royce Lewis is going through right now. It's obviously a different era, but I got to believe there's still some of the same feelings. Justin, you're closer to that time of your life than I am, but those are some wonderful times.
Oh, I love I love playing in the minor leagues.
I hated it, but I'm going to tell you why. I was spoiled with some beautiful fields in college. And then when I went to the minor leagues, I played in some absolute dumps. I mean, my Little League fields weren't a whole lot worse. So I think it was motivation to get the heck out of the minor leagues.
In front of Beltray, he sets and sidearms on target, 1 away.
And all the stadiums we played at weren't exactly the nicest field you ever played on. But I think the thing I enjoyed about them is you're with a group of young men who still have all their future in front of them.
Yeah.
Everyone's optimistic. Everyone's trying to get to the same place. And you go on a 10, 12-hour bus ride when you're 35 or 45 or whatever.
Yeah,
that's not that fun. But when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you're watching movies, you're playing cards. I mean, you're doing all these things that
getting to know guys that you don't know.
And you're chasing your dream at the same time. I mean, when you go to college, you have to go to class and play baseball. When you go to the minor leagues, you go there and you just get to be a baseball player. You get to live that dream, and it's.
Well, I think everybody has to become a part comedian. You won't survive. You better either be able to take a joke, tell a joke, or become a joke.
50 pitches for Minor and 36 strikes.
He's cruising. 9 of the 10 last innings the Twins have played, they've gone down with 3 or less batters.
1-2 to Adrianza. 2-2. So first time through the batting order, and the Twins were kind of in attack mode. A lot of first and second pitch at bats that were completed. At least their second time through the order, taking a few more pitches, as much as he will allow them. Now it's 2-2 to Adrianza. High chopper, back to Minor, and an easy play, 2 away. The 2018 Camping World MLB All-Star Ballot is now open and exclusively online. Make sure your favorite Twins are represented on this year's team by voting at twinsbaseball.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 89th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 17th, live on Fox. There's Taylor Motter hit a line drive to center field, caught by DeShields, his first time up. Pitches up, ball 1. Byron Buxton tonight hit a 3-run home run for Rochester, and the Twins will look forward to the day when he comes back. Certainly the day when Miguel Sano comes back, but there's no indication that either one of those players will be here in time for the next road trip. And so the Twins lineup is limping along almost predictably with Escobar, who carried the team for what, 4 or 5 weeks. Rosario too. Our hope is Rosario, or Escobar rather, will be back in there tomorrow. 2-1. Foul back.
And we talked about in the pregame whether or not those previous 2 series would have any kind of carryover, but it doesn't seem to me like there's the same intensity and the same need to do something in this game as there was in those previous rivalries. You're against the first place opponent when they played them, and all of a sudden you get caught up at a team's record.
Oh, lifted to right. It's got some carry. Going back is Mazzara on the warning track, makes the catch. Well, Motters hit the ball about as hard as anybody has here tonight, but sadly that's not saying much.
Showing appreciation for all military by sharing a photo or video with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
With Jack Morris, Justin Morneau, Kevin Gorg, I'm Dick Bramer. It's 4-0 Texas. Twins only have one hit. And meanwhile, Mike Miners faced the minimum through 5 innings.
I want to bring up a point that I was trying to get to about an inning and a half ago about a pitcher that has been scuffling a little bit. Back-to-back 2-run innings for Romero, and then he goes to the dugout and he doesn't have a lot of time on the bench. And I think there is a rhythm for a pitcher that he feels comfortable with. Some guys don't want to be on the bench. I remember, as much of a curse as it was, I wanted to get right back on the mound if I felt good, if I was pitching well. I didn't want a long extended inning, even though I needed the runs. It's kind of a curse.
Rosario retreats and snags the line drive off the bat of Beltran.
Tonight he hasn't had that luxury at all. And I suspect that he might be a guy that likes a little bit more time in the dugout.
Well, I know we appreciate the run support. I mean,
who doesn't?
I mean, look at, every pitch Miner has thrown has been from the windup. Dozier's hit game with 2 outs, and he was thrown out at second base. We don't know whether he can function as well on the windup.
Can't even get it over.
Can't even. One down, and here's Odor. Inside, ball 1. Odor with a number back to the mound his last time up. Romero fielded it with his back to home plate and ended up getting the out at second base as the second run of the inning was coming home on the outside corner, and Odor doesn't necessarily agree. In fact, I'm pretty sure he does not agree.
The box had it as a strike, and that's what we were talking about earlier. It used to be if you set up like that and you missed that far off, they weren't going to give it to you.
Yeah, well, we saw that in the last couple of days too.
Second time we've seen the Rangers try to bunt for a hit. Chu tried to do it earlier. A bunt foul, 1-2.
I think most hitters would prefer it the way it is now, as opposed to if you can hit your spot 2 inches off the plate and then you expand off of that, okay, and the catcher's set up and you hit your spot. That was as frustrating for a hitter as opposed to a guy, okay, he threw it over the plate. It was a strike. Just because he didn't catch it very well, it's still a strike. I think it's a lot better, at least from the hitting side, to have that kind of a strike zone as opposed to 2 inches off as a strike, 4 inches off as a strike.
And it was always the veteran. I remember as a young pitcher pitching against Tommy John, and it was the corner, an inch off the corner, and then 2 inches off the corner. And to your point, why does he get both those pitches off the plate? Well, he just showed he had such great command, and he was a veteran. And the rookie's not going to get that. The veteran gets it. I think that's changed in the game compared to our generation, probably the generation before mine, where today's umpires, they're not going to play that game.
And that's as much on the catcher as it is on the pitcher. And the catcher is the one who knows exactly how far that ball off was and how much they're giving him and how far he can set up. And every once in a while, an umpire will say, no, you're setting up too far. I can't give you that. You're making me look bad. Even though you're catching it good, it's not on the plate. And umpires don't like that either. So.
Deep to the left field corner, chased by Rosario, and he gets there. Oh, we've seen first Motter, and now Rosario with a long run to make a catch in foul territory. That might have been in fair territory.
I think it was.
Yeah, that was fair ball.
And I'm sure you'll come up with some names, but I'm not sure there's many guys that play a better left field than he has this year for sure. Because he knows this ballpark now. He's comfortable out there. You see him. There's not a whole lot of foul ground down there in the corner, and he went after that ball like he knew exactly where he was.
And he's done a great job of being able to play the ricochet too.
And now Lamar retreats, going back to the warning track and makes the catch 410 feet from home plate. Some well hit balls in the 6th, but a 1-2-3 top of the 6th.
runs in the bottom of the 5th inning against the Timber Rattlers. Here is the second of those 2 runs. Runners on the corners for center fielder Akil Baddoo. Chopper to first that Baddoo will outrun. He reached on a fielder's choice and drives in the run. Baddoo is ranked as the 10th best prospect in the Twins minor league system, guys.
Well, thank you, Marty. Here it's 4-0 Texas, and the Twins have done virtually nothing against Mike Minor. Mentioned that he'd done pretty well in his last 2 starts. And he's done very well here. He's faced the minimum through 5 innings. He'll face Kepler in the 6th. And a lot of those. First pitch strikes.
Justin, if you were hitting in this situation right now, coming in the 5th inning, guys throwing at nothing but goose eggs, talk about what you'd try to do. What would your game plan be?
I mean, it seems like for Kepler at least, when you're not going as well as you were at the start of the year, all those borderline pitches seem like they get called against you, but you can't let that affect your approach. And try and stay in the middle. Try and stay off the corners.
There's a base hit toward the gap, and another extra base hit for Kepler against a lefty. And he'll hold up there with a double. A little bit of a hitch in his giddy up as he rounded second. Let's hope he's all right. He has improved so much, hitting nearly 300 against lefties. He's already got more hits, more home runs, and more runs batted in against lefties than he did all last year.
You'd consider this going back up the middle, wouldn't you?
Yeah, the big part of the field.
Big part of the field.
Yeah, and staying out over, didn't try and do too much. Gets a pitch in the zone that he can handle. The first one might have been called a strike, but it wasn't what he was looking for. It wasn't a pitch that he could handle. And he waited him out. He got into a situation where he forced him to throw a ball over the plate, and he does, and he hits the ball very solidly the other way. And if it's a 4-0 game, they're up, you might see him try and go for third there, but that's a good base running play by stopping at second when you're down by 4 runs.
Lamar hit the ball hard his first time up, lining out to DeShields in center. Twins fans haven't had anything to make any noise about, but now a leadoff double. And these now will be the first pitches thrown out of the stretch by Mike Minor. It's 92, but from up here it almost looks like there's some cut to it, some movement to it.
Well, I think with the way the velocity is nowadays, if you're not throwing 95 or above, you better have some kind of late movement, something that just right as the hitter goes to swing, it just moves off that good part of the bat and you get weak, soft contact, and we've seen quite a bit of that tonight.
Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Well, Tommy John was quoted as saying, pitching is the art of missing bats, and it really isn't about just throwing fastballs as hard as you can. It's being able to locate movement, all the things that make you a pitcher, not a thrower.
1-2 to Lamar. Twins down 4 here. They'd like to string together a few hits. Lamar will be followed by Bobby Wilson. Outside. 2-2.
Infield playing Lamar straight away. Outfield shading center just to the right side, but they're pretty much straight away and left and right.
Inside, blocked by Chirinos, and Lamar, I think, is claiming he got hit. He looked into the dugout and motioned as if that ball hit him.
The latest trend is just to grab your ears like you're putting on the headset, right? Like, check it.
No, the Twins are going to at least take a look at it.
Nope.
Swing away, kid.
Might have hit his foot.
Top of the back foot.
Here we go. This will show it a little bit better.
Shoe polish.
It hit his toe.
It hit his toe.
Derek Shelton's going to have to be reviewed over his review.
Well, hit a double. It's 3-2.
Be interesting to see if he goes off speed again right here.
Foul back. You know, it did look like the ball hit him in the toe, but I think this is a case where this is the 6th inning and you're down 4-0. If you don't get that call overturned, you're down 4-0 and you don't have a challenge.
Well, you want the guy to hit the ball anyway. I mean,
yeah, I think maybe they also only had the first look was the side angle, and
right.
You couldn't tell anything from the side angle. It wasn't until we saw the different angle where where it actually looked like it hit him in the foot. So, yeah, like you said, if you're going to challenge that, you can't
lose it.
Yeah.
The score's 2-2. It might be different. If you're leading 4-0, it might be different.
We've said so many times the umpires in New York see things sometimes different than we do.
Fouled away, and Lamar is making Minor work. So much has come so easily and so quickly for him. Now a leadoff double and a full count.
It's almost like a moral victory just to work the pitcher to a full count here, the way he's been on cruise control.
Another foul back.
Another question I have for you, Justin, is you've seen the way pitching has evolved in the last even half a decade, I would say, where you see more pitchers throwing fastballs up in the zone to try to get swings and misses, partly due to this uppercut swing technology and thought process. Is that something you would have a problem with, or you think that's something where you see it easier, quicker, and you can lay off that one?
No, I was I was happy when they stopped throwing me up in the zone.
And that's a good walk taken by Lamar. He'll go to first, not with being hit by a pitch, but with a well-coaxed walk. And Bobby Wilson will hit with 2 men aboard.
Bottom of the lineup for the Twins, and they're trying to generate a little offense here.
World Cup action continues tomorrow on Fox. It all kicks off when Belgium squares off with Tunisia at 6 a.m. Then it's a pair of games in the group of death. Who would want to be in that group? Korea takes on Mexico and Germany faces Sweden. It's all tomorrow on Fox. We're streaming live on the Fox Sports app. That sounds like pro wrestling.
Is that an actual term in soccer?
What's it say right there?
So,
the group of death.
So that must be you're eliminated if you lose, right? Is that what they're?
I have no idea.
Probably the hardest pool in the World Cup.
The group of death.
Kind of reminds me of the World Baseball Classic when we had the Dominican, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. I think in the last one.
Right.
Whatever it was.
Big at bat here for the number 9 batter. Bobby Wilson struck out on a check swing his first time up, and he takes ball 1. Well, Minor was locked in through 5 innings. Every pitch he threw was from the windup, and his strike to ball ratio isn't nearly what it was when he was just throwing out of the windup.
I hope Bobby takes another pitch here, or at least gets a good look at it. He's been swinging at first pitches a lot.
That rolls away, and now belatedly Lamar's going to try for second, and he's going to be hung up. And the Twins run into another out on the bases. Kepler went to third. Lamar hesitated and then took off and stopped.
Indecision. It's cost the Twins here in several ball games where you just don't take that first instinct and go. And that's that little bit delay. Watch Lamar. Zero in on Lamar. He's waited until the catcher had the ball in his hand before he took off, because in his peripheral vision he saw Kepler go, and he probably should have either stayed or gone right away when Kepler went, but he didn't see it. He was watching the catcher.
That's a hard read, because as a base runner you're looking towards home plate and making sure the guy in front of you runs, because the worst thing that happens is you run him off. You run him off down by 4, and unfortunately when it's not going your way or it's not going great, those things tend to happen. And when you make a couple outs on the bases. The aggressive one, Dozier, maybe a little over aggressive, but that one, the score really dictates how you run the bases, and that was a mistake right there. As hard as a play as it is to read as the trail runner.
3-0 to Wilson, and he takes a strike. Minor goes from the stretch. Wilson hits it a ton, but it's almost as far foul as it is from home plate. 3-2.
That person coming to the game today never thought they would get a foul ball up there, that's for sure.
You saw in a cutaway shot in the dugout, Paul Molitor talking with Garvin Alston. Maybe Twins will go to the bullpen here once we get to the 7th inning. Drilled foul. Twins have made better contact against Minor here in the 6th inning, hoping to recover from the base running blunder and put together a big inning here. Bauer on deck, and it's 3-2 to Wilson.
They've made him work a little bit anyway. This has been a little bit more stressful inning than the first 5 were.
Another one hook foul.
I think you're seeing a side of today's game happening. He's at 77 pitches now, and he's been basically dominating the entire way through. He's given up the double to Kepler, and all of a sudden you see action in the bullpen because it's the 3rd time through the order, and that's what you have to do is get relievers up because it's later in the game.
He's had an extra day of rest, and he's coming off a start where he threw a season high 102 pitches. 3-2 to Wilson. And he takes ball 4. So since the double, the only 2 walks issued by Minor, and now Bauer will bat with runners at 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, it's just you know, we could talk. I know we could talk for a good hour about this whole philosophy, but I've always said pitchers have to learn to get themselves out of their own mess and be given the opportunity to do it, because they'll never get through that wall if they aren't allowed to push the wall down.
Yeah, it's I don't know how you would feel if you were throwing a shutout into the 6th inning and you're giving up 2 hits. If all of a sudden you turn around and you see somebody warming up in the bullpen.
First of all, it wouldn't have happened. That's the thing, you know. The managers in our day, just that wasn't part of their thought process. But it wouldn't be a good feeling.
There's Bauer.
But the argument can be made with back-to-back walks. Now, is that a result of him tiring, or is it just because he hasn't pitched out of the stretch all day and he had his first base runner, and the first time he's had to go through the signs, the second sign, or whatever he's using with a runner on base, and there's a whole bunch of other things going on, but it's not like he's throwing the ball poorly.
And another strike at the knees. And Minor's trying to do just that, and he's delivered a couple of high-quality strikes.
Let's look at this last pitch. It looked low to me from the booth, but no, it caught the corner.
2 strikes to Bauer. 1 and 2. I'm just amazed at how shallow they're playing in the Shields in center field. Got a 4-run lead, and I'm not sure that a double would score Bobby Wilson, but anything hit over to Shields' head is going to mean potentially 2 runs rather than just 1.
Even if he hits it hard towards the gap, it's going to be hard for them to get to the ball and cut it off.
Down and away, didn't miss by much.
That's the difference between Joe Mauer and a lot of hitters right there. He got that borderline pitch that he didn't like on the 2nd strike call. And so many hitters will go out of their strike zone, go out of their approach, and end up chasing that pitch that's just a couple inches off. But
and then blaming it on the umpire, right? I mean, you're really mad at the umpire for calling that one before, and then you chase out of the zone. So it's kind of a 2 negatives.
2-2. And a foul.
But what he did there, he laid off the borderline one and then ends up getting one that hung a little bit for him. And I think he'll go back and wish he had that pitch back later in the at-bat or later in the game if he doesn't come through right here. But that's the difference between a young hitter, an over-aggressive hitter with a runner in scoring position and trying to press and tie the game. And we talked about hit the pitch you want to hit, stay within your approach, and 9 times out of 10 Joe does that when he's at the plate, and that's what makes him special. And over 2,000 hits.
And another foul. Look at the sunset. Wow.
Well, Minor, who is cruising through 5, has thrown 26 pitches this half inning. So the Twins are making him work a little bit, and that's why there's activity in Jeff Bannister's bullpen right now.
Yeah, 85th pitch of the game, but almost half of them, it seems, this inning. He still only has 1 out, and he has not retired a batter. 2-2 to Mauer. Poke to left. Retreating is Gallo. Still going back. He doesn't make the play.
Stay there, Joe.
Kepler will score. And Wilson goes to third on a double over the head of the left fielder. Well, Joe ended up burning the Texas outfield, not in center field, but in left field.
Let's watch if we see if they follow Joe Mauer here. Hits some pitcher's pitch down and away, but he drives it over Gallo's head in left field. I don't think he played that very well. But Joe's got to wait for the runner in front of him, Bobby Wilson, to commit, and he's right on his tail, but he knows where the first baseman is, so he can still retreat. And then finally, when they bobble the ball, Wilson goes to third. Joe's right there at second base. That was just great base running by Joe Mauer.
1 out. 4 batters face this inning, and Minor hasn't retired a batter. The only out came on the bases. Doug Brocail, the pitching coach, out there to try to settle Minor down a little bit. But here's Rosario, 0 for 2 in the ball game, and a hit to the outfield might draw the Twins to within 1.
It's interesting. It looked like they had the lefty ready. You got back-to-back left-handed hitters, but maybe because they don't have a righty ready for Dozier is why they leave him in, and they hope they slow the game down a little bit.
They've got 3 left-handed relievers, 5 right-handed relievers. They've just taken Matt Moore and converted him to a relief pitcher. Twins making some noise finally here in the 6th inning.
Well, I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek, but I mean it in some sincerity.
Down and in ball 1.
Sometimes it was better for a manager to get a reliever warmed up than to send the pitching coach out. You look down the bullpen and say, oh boy, I got to go to work here. Because you didn't want that guy coming in.
Yeah, for the most part, starting pitchers want to be able to give up their own runs.
Yep.
Fouled back Rosario, aiming for the plaza with that swing. He has been so good in June. Been so good since April 27th. Look at the average, 358. 32 extra base hits.
He's just not a guy that you feel comfortable pitching against, because
where do you pitch?
Yeah, where do you pitch him? And you can't really do it double up. You know, the best thing you can do with him when you got 2 strikes is bounce it. It's really the only safe place is throw it down in the dirt.
1-1 here to Rosario. Got a pitch up and in, and he tried to spin on it. It's 1-2.
And what I love about Rosario and watching him hit is he doesn't believe there's a pitch that goes by that he fouls off that he shouldn't have hit up on that plaza up there. It's so fun for me to see a guy with that much confidence, and it comes through, and you can tell a guy, even if he misses a pitch and we see it and that's right on the borderline of the top of the zone, but he felt like he could have crushed that ball right there.
1-2. So, you know, when we show the strike zone, and there's the rectangle right there, right angles, right? His strike zone is shaped like the state of Indiana. I mean, it's tall and it's about the same width, and then down and in a little bit too.
And there's, like you said, it's not a comfortable for a pitcher. I wouldn't be out there going, all right, well, I don't know what to throw this guy other than bounce it and hope he swings and misses.
1-2. Popped up short center. And Odor with the catch, 2 away, and now a big at bat for Brian Dozier. And we'll see whether the Rangers make the move.
Well, it's a left-hander throwing, so I don't know as though they're.
Yeah, they never did get a right-hander up, did they? Dozier singled into the left field corner, was out trying to stretch it into a double in the first, then he fouled out to Chirinos.
Well, Brian was going through a real tough time here, and it seems and appears to be that he's at least starting to be able to handle the ball that he's always handled, and that's the ball on the inner half. Got a base hit in his first at bat.
That is foul. Just wide of the bag.
Starting to handle that ball in,
particularly against left-handers. Now, coming into the game, his batting average against lefties was still just 200 when he hit 337 against them last year. This would be a great at bat to turn that number north.
There's nothing like 2-out hits to get everybody on the bench excited and back into the game and score some runs.
Strike 2 on the outside corner.
Ball up and away, and that's probably not where he was looking, so at least he's staying with his plan until 2 strikes. Now, we've seen Brian at times throw the plan out the window and be able to shoot the ball the other way, because more than likely they're going to pitch him away. I'd be shocked if they came in on him with 2 strikes.
0-2 to Dozier. Popped up.
And they did.
Guzman near the railing has room, and the Twins get a couple of doubles and a run, but they missed it a chance and a bigger inning. Rangers in front 4-1.
Adrian Beltre gets it started for the Rangers. A base hit up the middle, 3rd hit in a row in the 4th inning, and then Shin-Soo Choo hits a 2-run homer, upper deck shot that put the Rangers up 4-0. Joe Mauer gets the Twins on the board, slapping a ball over Joey Gallo's head in the bottom half of the 6th inning, and that scores Max Kepler from 3rd base. And we're right now at 4-1 ball game.
Chu with a 2-run home run that doubled the lead at the time, and now to the 7th inning, and the Twins do indeed go to the bullpen, starting with Addison Reed.
Well, Romero left with exactly 100 pitches, 64 strikes.
Through 6 innings of ball.
And Chirinos, Guzman, and DeShields will hit bottom third of the lineup. And Reed starts with strike 1. Twins gave Reed a little, well, partly physical break, but also a mental break as he had a succession of bad outings in a row. And fouled away. And in his most recent outing against the Red Sox, gave up a hit in a scoreless inning. Got the 8th inning as the Twins beat the Red Sox in Game 2. And now 1-2. News today that Bryce Harper's agreed to participate in the Home Run Derby.
He must have been listening to you.
I doubt that. I'm guessing there were other factors, perhaps even money exchanging hands. I don't know how those things work. But since it's in his home ballpark, that'll be good for the Nationals,
home crowd,
and be good for the telecast and all that. Chris Martin getting loose. 2-2 to Chirinos. And loop to center field. And a base hit. Chirinos is aboard for the first time. And that'll bring up Guzman. Friday, July 6th, it's University of North Dakota night at Target Field. A limited number of UND theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and green and black Twins cap. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/UND or call 800-33-TWINS. Guzman, the batter. This is the 58th year of Twins baseball. And those of us who are old enough have enjoyed all 58 years. There's been one transaction, one sale of the team, and that occurred 34 years ago tonight. A pregame ceremony at the Metrodome. The Griffith family signed off the ownership of the ball club to the Poland family. And on the one hand, it's easy to, we actually broadcast the pregame ceremony, and it was overwhelmingly sad at one end of the spectrum for the Griffith family because baseball was their livelihood. But the overwhelming feeling was that it was overwhelmingly necessary for it to happen, for baseball to survive and at times thrive here in the Twin Cities area.
Yeah, it's funny. It's affected my family on both sides. My brother was drafted out of high school when Calvin still owned the team.
Right.
And then I eventually come back and play here and get to work here. So I've seen both sides of the ownership.
Three and one now to Guzman. And there's Taylor Rogers getting loose.
Taylor worked in last night's game, 2/3 of an inning.
Shin-Soo Choo might hit this inning. Reed trying to come back from 3-1 to Guzman. Walked and scored his last time up, and now a swing and a foul.
Well, you know, look at it that way, and that's one way that they look at it. The other way is you got to keep this game within reach. You can't let it get out of hand here. You're within 3 runs, and you're only going to get 3 more at bats. So.
Poke foul down the line with the runner Chirinos taking off from first. Indians are leading the Tigers 3-0. But they are the 2 teams, of course, ahead of the Twins in the standings. The Tigers by a game, the Indians by 6 games. Runner goes, and it's ball 4. So Reed gives up a solid single to center. Now a walk to the number 8 batter. DeShields, who laid down a sacrifice his last time up, will probably be asked to do it again here this time.
Tough decision for Paul Molitor right here. What to do? They've got Choo on deck, and maybe that's what he's going to hope that they do, is try to sack bunt, get an out, and then make the move.
Or intentionally walk Choo and hope for a double play grounder. Edison didn't get a handle on the pitch, and it was called ball 1.
I know Paul has been, even though it's been a struggle for Addison Reed, he's been impressed with his ability to handle all of it. He's a veteran, and I think he likes his demeanor, and probably in his own little way is pulling for him mentally to get through this than anything else. But he's got to manage a baseball game too.
That is a bunt that will roll foul. 1-1. And yet, you know, Reed would be the first to tell you he's had some really bad outings lately. You look at the body of work this year. You know, 1 hit per inning pitch. The walks haven't been out of line. The 6 home runs are high.
He's given up a lot of what I call seeing eye hits too.
Yeah.
Chirinos on second base right now, a base hit that, you know, it was a hit. It's legit, but it wasn't like he crushed the ball. He just kind of flared it over Dozier's head.
1-1. 2 to Shields. There's a good bunt. Monter's got to hurry. And they did not get him. To Shields with a beautiful bunt up the line, and the call is safe. And we'll see if the Twins challenge it.
Boy, he got up the line. He really was hauling after a couple steps out of the batter's box. He hits the ball out in front the way you're taught. Motter charges the ball, 2-hands it. I think he might have been safe. They're going to look at it.
And I don't think they'll overturn it.
I don't think they will either.
This is the 7th inning, and you can ask for another challenge afterwards in the last couple innings if you have something challengeable. So Shields, we think, will get credit for a bunt single to fill the bases with nobody out. Well, now I don't know. I just saw the replay up on the video board here, and it looked like there might be a chance.
The thing is, you always have to keep this in mind. It has to be conclusive evidence to overturn it.
Right. Ball has to hit the back of the glove on this replay here. I think he may have gotten him. It's a big, big call here. All the difference in the world, including opening up at least an option as to what to do with Shin-Soo Choo if first base is open. Out. So it is overturned, and it is a successful challenge, and DeShields gets credit instead for a sacrifice.
Well, the ball of his foot did not touch the bag before it landed in the back of Joe Mauer's glove. No. It's that close. So now will they pitch to Choo?
We'll see. No, he's going to be walked, and they'll be loaded now for Andrus, and Reed will stay in. As good as Choo is at the plate, he may have ended up walking anyway, so it saves everybody, including Reed, the time and effort. They're loaded up now, and Andrus at the plate. A walk, a single, and a strikeout for him.
Are you a fan of this rule?
Yeah, why not?
Except for the fact that how many times did you see the ball thrown to the backstop?
Yeah.
Or in the dirt, you know, where the runner third scores. It does happen. Catch it.
Dozier with a diving catch. Wow. Double play. Oh my, what a double play. A bullet hit to center field. Dozier intercepted it and then flipped it to Adrianza. And just like that, the inning ends. Rangers will challenge it. We will see. Twins just had a successful challenge. That there was one out on the play is remarkable. And you be the judge. Was there a second out?
We're going to have a better look than that one. Let's see if we see it better here. The umpire's in the way now. And that isn't going to show it.
I think his hand's on the bag. But what we saw eventually when we were replaying the play at first base a few moments ago, we finally found an angle and a speed that showed Mauer had the ball before DeShield's foot hit the bag. What could be just a pivotal point in this game involving one pitch, I guess 2 pitches counting the one on the sacrifice bunt, and 2 challenges.
Well, I wasn't even paying attention to the runner at third, but did you see him tag and go home after Dozier caught the ball?
No. And the double play will stand. A very entertaining end to the top of the 7th. We'll see if the Twins can entertain you in the bottom of the inning.
Tied at 2 in Cedar Rapids for the Colonels and the Timber Rattlers. A runner on third for the catcher, David Banuelos. There's a liner to center field. That will score Trey Cabbage, and that is the go-ahead run for Cedar Rapids.
Well, I wish I'd have known that Marnie was going to Cedar Rapids. I'd have bought her some Leonardo's pizza down there.
It's probably not too late. You can, if she's still there, you can get it after the game.
Yeah, I just would rather get her.
I would love to see you text her right now and give her your credit card number and see if that can happen.
I'm not sure that this involved you in any way, shape. This is between Marnie and me, and I was trying to, extend.
I'm hanging in there for Marnie.
Robbie Grossman will lead things off in the 7th against Chris Martin. Twins had a great chance to do more than they did in the bottom of the 6th, and we'll see if Grossman can get something started here, hitting as a left-handed batter against the righty Martin.
Well, Mike Minor leaves with nothing but the potential for a win. 6 innings. It's going to be a quality start. Only 3 hits allowed, 1 earned run.
Ball 1. Martin, as you saw, doesn't walk many people. Keeps the ball in the ballpark, or at least has. And a strike, 1-1. Closer for the Rangers, should we get to him, is Keona Kella, 17 saves on the year. That's in the dirt and to the backstop. Stack up the teams in the American League in terms of earned run average, and Texas is 13th, 4.79. Only the Orioles and Royals have a worse pitching staff in terms of team ERA. There's Bartolo Colon. He'll pitch Sunday. Hit hard to center. The shield's going back. Has it measured. One away. And that'll bring up Adrianza. Are you game for a little excitement? Head to foxsportsnorth.com. Submit a photo and message for the opportunity to be featured in the Minnesota Lottery Winner Circle during our broadcast and receive $100 in scratch tickets. The Minnesota Lottery, every day is game day. Here's Adrianza 0 for 2. A strikeout and a comebacker to the mound.
Now Martin's a homegrown kid. He's from Arlington, Texas. Played a couple years in Japan, and now he's returned to the Ranger organization.
Foul that almost got Motter in the on-deck circle. Cleveland behind Shane Bieber, leading Detroit 4-0 in the 5th now.
Yeah, Bieber was called to pitch against the Twins, and he ended up beating them. And now he's taking on the Tigers.
Oh, 0-1 to Adrianza. And inside. Motter's hit the ball hard twice tonight. He'd like to get another opportunity with a man aboard. Up and away, 2-1. Indians got some bad news today. Bradley Zimmer, their super athletic center fielder, is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with right shoulder problem. Two and one at the Twins shortstop. 2-2.
You look at Ade and you realize that he has that uppercut swing, and that pitch right there, 96, right on top of the zone. He was underneath the pitch, and it's awful hard for him with an uppercut swing to have a short. They call it short to the ball, but that's what he has to do there. He has to stay on top of the ball and be short to it. That one a little easier for him to handle because it's down in the zone. Same speed.
Whoever I work with, you, Bert, Roy, Justin, everybody talks about the need to make adjustments. And don't you think the game itself will make adjustments? I mean, we're all in this swing plane craze, launch angle and all that, and that at some point, I don't know whether it's going to be in my lifetime, but at some point the game will evolve into perhaps what you and I grew up seeing, where there was an emphasis placed on contact.
I think it will, because I think eventually this home run craze will flatten out, and they'll realize that there's too much good baseball that's being wasted for the sake of a couple home runs, and we're seeing strikeouts through the roof because of this uppercut swing, in my opinion. And baseball was pretty darn good for over 100 years, and the best hitters didn't swing that way.
And Adrianza takes a call, 3rd strike for the 2nd out of the 7th.
Let's take a look at that 3rd called strike.
Outside. Replay brought to you by Carrier, and they'll make you feel comfortable inside. You like that one? That's pretty good, I thought.
That's really good. You know, that's really good for, well, I won't go there.
2 down, and now Taylor Motter. He has lined out to center and hit a warning track fly ball to right, so he put the barrel on it twice. And is still looking for his first hit as a Twin. 1-0.
Now he's going to have to get one of those swinging bunts or a little looper, something to fall.
A foul, 1-1. Made a nice play, a foul pop early in the ball game. Rangers out hitting the Twins 5-3. They strung 3 soft singles together to get a couple of runs in the 4th, and then Chu hit a 2-run home run in the 5th. 1-1. Two and 1. Rays beat the Yankees 2-1.
Slugfest in Boston.
Another foul, 2-2. Yeah, the Mariners trailing Boston 14-10 in the 8th inning at Fenway Park. The Twins have had a great defensive play, and you'd like to think that coming off a big defensive play, you could get a little momentum, string some good at bats together, but so far that has not happened. Dozier with a great catch and the start of a double play. 2-2 to Motter. Kepler on deck. And another foul.
It was the bottom of the lineup that got things going for the Twin in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Max Kepler led off with a double, and then back-to-back walks to Lamar and Wilson. Joe Mauer getting a double, and the Twins are on the board, but need to get something started again. See if Motter can get on for Kepler.
Came inside. Motter fought that one off as well. Right off the end of the bat. Motter's giving the Twins maybe their best at bats.
Yeah, he's
as a group.
Grinding out in that bat here. Falling off pitch after pitch.
See if there's a payoff at the end here. 19th pitch for Martin. Right off the end of the bat. Andrus scoops and fires, and eventually Motter is retired, and Martin has a 1-2-3 inning.
With your Mall of America Studio Sports update. We sweep in with a sweep on this date 4 years ago. The Twins beat the Chicago White Sox for the Twins' first ever 4-game sweep at Target Field. They were down 5-0 in the third inning. Brian Dozier and Joe Mauer led the way back in a 6-5 win.
Well, the 2014 season wasn't a great year for the Twins, but a 4-game sweep against the White Sox. Twins are hoping to pull off a 3-game sweep soon. They missed their first 3 opportunities, including the ball game yesterday, but they got to win the opener to have a chance to do that here. And Taylor Rogers hoping to give them that chance as he comes in to pitch the 8th inning.
Well, Taylor has kind of been a go-to guy for Paul over the last couple of years, and he's been on a little bit better course lately. Pitched in yesterday's game, 2/3 of an inning.
Strike one to Nomar Mazara.
And this is where he's got to improve a little bit. The left-handed hitters. There was no problem when he came up to the big league. You saw that big sweeping breaking ball that he had. That was an everyday occurrence for him, and hitters had a tough time with it. But he's had better luck against right-handers.
Check swing 1-1. Mazara, Beltre, and Odor. Out in front again of the breaking ball. 1-2.
So here's the question, folks. Do you go back to that again for the 3rd time? And if you do you leave it on the plate, or do you hope that he'll swing out of the zone? They're going to go back away.
He takes 2-2. So 4 straight breaking balls.
I got nervous at this point as a pitcher. It was very hard to throw 3 straight in the same spot, let alone 4. At least on my secondary pitch.
The fastball froze him. So he looks at 4 breaking balls, and then fastball at the knees at 94 puts him away. One down. That'll bring up Beltre.
He leaves this ball over the middle of the plate, but it's down in the zone, and it was very effective because of the previous pitch that was off the plate in a big sweeping breaking ball.
And Beltre takes a breaking ball for strike 1. There is some thought that Beltre might get traded. That whatever the market might be for the likes of Manny Machado, there will be a secondary market for some other third basemen like Beltre and Moustakas. Beltre would have to agree to such a trade. He's far beyond a 10-5 guy. He's like a 20-10 guy. 2 strikes. Dugout by Mater. Beltre thrown out, 2 away. Tiny Twins baseball camps are the perfect summer camp for kids ages 3 to 5. Campers will learn the basic fundamentals of baseball. Each camper will receive a Tiny Twins t-shirt and Twins tickets. You can learn more and register today at twinsbaseball.com/training. Well, that's a great idea. Great to see boys and girls playing so much baseball and softball. Here's Odor. Popped up down the left field line. Rosario.
Jeez, Eddie
can't quite get there.
I don't know if he lost that ball or not, but he was on cruise, and then he started running after. I know the ball tailed quite a bit away from the third base line foul, but he looked like he was camped underneath it and just sort of gliding to the ball before. See him kick in a gear here right about now.
Not much wind, so you can't blame the wind for blowing it away from him. Any ball hit like that by a left-handed batter is going to have some side spin and some slice to it.
I know Eddie's not happy with himself. He knows he could have caught that ball.
One strike to Odor. And nobody has a chance at this one. Oh, and 2. Well, the Rangers were convinced they had something in Rougned Odor. 2016 he had 271 with 33 home runs. Last year he hit almost as many home runs, but he hit 204. Played in every game. Bauer deflects it out of Dozier's range, and Odor will reach on a 2-out single.
That's one of those balls that if Joe didn't get it, maybe Brian does get to it, and then it's going to be a 4-1 play at first base where Roger covers. But Joe's got to use his instinct, go for the ball, and it just ricochets off his glove.
So Odor's aboard with a hit, and now Joey Gallo. Gallo's put the ball in play 3 times. He's hit it in the air 3 times. And he has tried to do that because he has faced a Logan Morrison type shift more often than not, and he has 1 bunt single doing that.
Look at the shift. You can see Motter way over by the shortstop position, and he's got all third base all to himself.
Throw over, maybe to keep Odor honest, but maybe also to see whether Gallo might tip his hand if he's going to try that again. Ryan Presley getting loose in the Twins pen. And a strike, and now it's 0-2. And Gallo, in the back of his mind, if not the front of his mind, is going, see, I tried to bunt, and now it's 0-2.
Well, what he should be saying is, I'm in the big leagues and I can't bunt.
Well, he's in the lineup to hit home runs, but when you're facing,
still should be able to bunt.
This oh, what a stop by Wilson. How did he catch that? It's one thing to deflect it, knock it down, keep it in the dirt. Like he caught that ball.
Yeah, we've seen some great lateral movement from Bobby Wilson, and he just was able to get the glove on the ball because his body wasn't able to get out that far. I mean, that ball was out of the batter's box in the right-hander's side. It was way out there.
1-2 to Gallo.
But he picked it clean.
In 76 games this year, Gallo's played in 73 of them. And he's already struck out 109 times. Fouled away. But he does have 18 home runs, 10 doubles.
That's the generation and the difference in baseball. Strikeouts are more and more acceptable as long as you put the ball in seats 30+ times.
Another 1-2 coming to Gallo. Up and in.
How many guys, you've been doing this for a while, you've seen other generations, how many guys, and let's just call it my generation, during the time that I played from the early 80s through the mid 90s, how many guys do you think, if we're given the opportunity to strike out 200 times and hit 30 home runs, would be able to do it? Think about that.
We'll have that answer for you after the break as the Twins head to the bottom of the 8th, down 4-1.
Up next after this game is Twins Live presented by CenturyLink. We'll break down the pitching matchup as Minor was finer than Romero. 6 strong innings to shut the Twins down early in this baseball game. We'll also get a wrap from Marnie Gellner down in Cedar Rapids with all those cool prospects, future Twins. Maybe we'll find out where she's going to enjoy some free pizza on Dick Bramer, and we'll also hear from the manager guys, Paul Molitor. Looking forward to tomorrow and Sunday's game as the Twins try to rally here.
All right, we'll see what happens here. The Twins have 2 innings worth of at-bats left. Max Kepler, who started the 6th inning uprising, will lead things off for the Twins in the 8th against a new pitcher.
We got something going on with the center fielder, the Shields. Trainer's
bent over at the waist, and now the trainer's going to come out there. I don't know if he wears contacts or not, but he's got something in his eye. And I'm guessing he does wear contacts. I'm not a contact wearer. I don't believe you are. Never worn them, have you?
No, I haven't.
But that kind of looks to me. I don't know how you can get something in the eye away from the infield dirt, unless it's a bug, perhaps.
Well, let's take care of the legal stuff. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
See, I think that the play-by-play guy, me, I do the accounting and you do the descriptions. I think that's how that works.
All right, let's go on to my question.
Okay.
My generation, guys were, if it was acceptable to strike out 200 times, but try to hit 30 home runs, more than what happened or less?
Rephrase the question. I'm trying to figure out what you're getting at.
Okay, what I'm getting at is today it seems to be acceptable for guys like Gallo. He might strike out 200 times this year, right?
Right.
But if he hits 30 home runs, they'll probably be okay with that.
Right.
How many guys do you think of my generation, if given that choice, could do it? Could hit 30 home runs, but not worry about strikeouts?
I don't know how to answer that. There's Jesse Chavez coming into the pitch for the Rangers here with a 3-run lead. I mean, there were high strikeout guys in your era.
Yeah, Rob Deere.
Rob Deere. Kepler, Lamar, and Wilson due up here. And the first pitch grounded, a hot ground ball picked up by Odor. And he throws low. What a pick at first by Guzman. I'm not sure who made the better fielding play, the second baseman or the first baseman. One away.
Well, they say Guzman can really pick it over there, and this is a good example of it. You see Odor, he stays low, which he has to do, and then when he turns, he really handcuffed Guzman over there, but he did a great job of picking that ball.
Here is Eduardo Escobar hitting for Ryan Lamar. And Escobar telling me during batting practice that he felt fine hitting left-handed. That was the side he was standing in when he got drilled by the Porcello pitch, but hitting right-handed was very painful for him. And he takes strike 1.
Well, he's probably been inside in the batting cage, taking some swings here, getting loose.
Available to pinch hit, obviously, from this side of the plate. Now a little pop-up that'll spin over the Texas dugout and out of play. Of course, the Rangers started a left-hander, Minor, which would have been Escobar. Had he been in the starting lineup, would have had to hit from the more painful side. 0-2. Down the line. And foul. Pretty much swinging with one arm, and he almost got another double.
Yep.
Chavez has been pretty good, as you saw. About a hit per inning pitched. How many walks? Oh, 0-2 to Eduardo Escobar. Came inside, and Escobar quick enough to get the bat on it.
He probably drove Paul crazy on the bench, wanting to get into this game. They're going to go up in the zone, and he swings through it.
2 down, and now Bobby Wilson will be called back to the dugout. The Twins are going to pinch hit Morrison. Join Fox Sports North at the next viewing party on Wednesday, June 27th. Beginning at 6:30 p.m. at Wild Boar Bar and Grill in Oakdale. Watch the Twins take on the White Sox. Enjoy drink specials, register for tickets and prizes and more. Visit foxsportsnorth.com/events for details. 2 down in the 8th. Bobby Wilson pinch hit for Logan Morrison. The Twins 3 bench moves to make, and they'll make them all here in the 8th inning. With Garver.
Yeah, Garver will have to come in and catch.
And he takes strike 1 at the knees. Swing and a miss. And we talked about it at the outset. Twins with the middle of their lineup tonight. Grossman, Adrianza, Mater. And they imagined Sano, Dozier, Grossman. Oh, 2. And bounced up the line, foul. Polanco last year hit 6th a good part of the year, the last 2 months. Escobar, Rosario in there, of course, but it is what it is.
Yep.
The Twins are scuffling to score runs with what they have.
Polanco had a tremendous second half of the season last year.
Taken low, it's 1-2. Up high, 2-2. Now a full count. Now we're on deck. Morrison with a high fly to center. Going back is DeShields. And on the track, he makes the catch. And Chavez has a 1-2-3 8th inning. Sports North is brought to you by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. And powered by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Dragonfly enjoying the ball game here at Target Field. Oblivious to the score, 4-1. Matt Belisle will come out of the Twins' pen to pitch to the Rangers in the 9th inning. Game between his appearances with Cleveland and the Twins. His 5th game as a member of the Twins. So far, he has pitched a total of 3 innings, giving up 7 hits and 3 earned runs. Mitch Garver's behind the plate as we suspected. And Escobar is in at third with Taylor Motter moving out to right field.
Kepler over to center.
And Kepler to center. Yep. Well, that Escobar was able to pinch hit should bode well for tomorrow. I would think the Rangers are starting a right-handed pitcher.
In a way, I hope he doesn't see a throw at all at third base. Didn't have to.
Well, that's what he said. You know, we watched him closely after he got hit because it was his throwing arm, and we thought everything was okay, but he said it was really throbbing as he tried to throw the ball.
That's where he's going to extend that elbow.
So guess who gets gets by him down the line. And Chirinos has his 2nd hit, and Rosario comes up firing, and it is a double leading off the 9th against Belisle.
Eddie acting like he is sore right now. I don't like what I'm seeing out there. The ball gets by Eduardo Escobar at third base. You can see that clearly right here. And let's just watch Eddie Rosario if it plays into that. Picks up the ball. It's not going to show it.
Leadoff double, and now Guzman, the batter. Strike on the outside corner. Just watching Rosario bent over at the waist, staring down at the ground. 28,000 for the paid attendance tonight. Inside nearly hit him. 1-1. Punch to left, and Rosario might have to throw home here. They're going to hold the runner at third, and the throw comes in on one hop to Dozier. Twin season ticket packages are now more convenient than ever. All traditional ticket plans include unlimited ticket exchange options, so you never have a ticket go unused. Season ticket holders are also automatically enrolled in the Sweet Spot Benefits and Rewards program. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/season tickets.
Matt Belisle pitched in yesterday's game. He pitched an inning, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs. Back in there today, and now back-to-back hits. So it hasn't been easy for Matt since putting on a Twins uniform for the 2nd time. But Paul Molitor likes his veteran leadership and hoping that he can get out of this jam now.
Infield in. Back to Belisle, and they've got the runner hung up. And Belisle will tag him out, dropping the ball. The out's recorded. And a horrible base running play by Chirinos. On that chopper, I don't think there's a chance with the Shields running the way that he would run. There's no chance of getting a double play. Runners typically are told to try to break up the double play, but I don't think there was one there on this ball.
Yeah, DeShields will get credited for a fielder's choice on first base, and then a pitcher on assistant. And that's what you're supposed to do as a pitcher, run them right back. If you don't have to make a throw, don't. The good news is he kept the runner at second base in Guzman.
So runners at first and second. Yeah, there wasn't a snowball fight to get that out. You just got the ball and chased the runner back and tagged him. Well, one down, first and second now, and Shin-Soo Choo will bat. And a strike.
Chu was added to the Rangers a couple years ago, and it was a big deal to land him. They thought he was going to be the answer, and he's been good. Came into today's game hitting .277 with 13 bombs.
They're into him for another $50 million. And the Rangers are in the beginning stages of a rebuilding process. Fouled away. And we were talking before about the evolution of the game and how it might evolve next. You know, it wasn't that long ago guys like Chu were highly valued because of their on base percentage. Now that's not the important stat as much as extra base, you know, on base plus slugging percentage, hitting home runs, and strikeouts be ignored.
Well, I think that'll always be an important part of the game.
On base percentage?
Yes,
yeah.
I think it's one of the most cherished of all.
And Chu drops his bat, almost his hit, 2-2.
The reason I say that is it applies pressure on the pitcher. It makes the pitcher work. You're on base, something good has happened, whether it's a walk, a hit, and now a pitcher has got to pitch out of the stretch. We were talking about Minor, 5 breezy innings because he never had to throw out of the stretch.
2-2 to Chu. Full count. Don't expect the runners to take off here. There's the closer, Keona Kela. And a ground ball base hit right field. Kepler, or Mata rather, will charge, throw home, and safe is the call. Garver reaching for the tag, and Guzman scoring. And Mata with a strong throw up the line just a little bit. And Paul Molitor has the left leg out to see whether Garver may have tagged him.
Well, Garver isn't kind of indicating to Paul at all that he did this, so I think Guzman got by him, probably got the leg in without any.
He never did tag him.
Never tagged him.
So 3 hits allowed by Belisle, and so far 1 run. And with the throw to the plate, Chu went to second, and DeShields went to third. Infield in again. Fouled back. Pitches up. 1-1. Day game tomorrow, day game Sunday.
Yeah, no activity in the Twins pen, so this is all on Matt Belisle. 1 out recorded so far, and they're just going to let him finish this up.
Pulled foul. 1-2. Andres walked, singled, struck out, and then he hit a bullet up the middle with the Rangers threatening to break the game wide open in the 7th. Dozier made his great backhanded catch on the line drive, and before he hit the ground, he had flipped it out of his glove, it seemed, to double off the runner at second base and got the Twins out of a jam. Breaking ball, swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 down. And that'll bring up Mazzara. Watch the Twins on Fox Sports Go this Sunday when the Twins take on the Rangers at Target Field. Stop by the Fox Sports Go booth next to the Twins live set. Learn more about the Fox Sports Go app, and while supplies last, get a free prize. Visit foxsportsnorth.com/events for details. That's all the details we have. You get a free prize. Could be a t-shirt. Could be a cap. Could be a Lamborghini. Could be. I don't know.
I doubt. Well, if it's a Lamborghini, it'll come in a little plastic box.
You got to use that glue.
Yeah, you put some glue together, and it'll be 2 or 3 pieces.
Did you do models when you were?
I had a few. Yeah, they were fun.
Cars, planes. What'd you do?
Cars, of course.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. No planes. No trains.
1-0 to Mazzara. And there's nobody there. Base hit. Mazzara will drive in 2 runs. Rosario underhand. Well, he thought about it. I think you're right. I don't think his shoulder's feeling particularly good right now. Lyle gives up another hit and 2 more runs. You'd say, well, I don't know, maybe it's running out of control. Maybe ought to have a position player pitch, but all the position players have been used.
Yeah, there's nobody left except for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in the pen.
Here is Beltre. And Beltre says, hey, check, I didn't swing.
I've always got a kick out of the hitters that do that.
Kind of reverse sales effort, I think.
Trying to sell it.
1-0. And now a full swing and a miss. Four hits in the inning. So far 3 runs. Two and 1. Kella hasn't been throwing now that the Rangers have added 3 more runs. It's no longer a save situation. That's to the gap. Nobody there. That'll run all the way to the wall. And Mazzara around third. He'll score. And Beltre adds to the carnage with an RBI double.
I kind of feel for Matt Belisle. He just it was almost like batting practice yesterday. Today again, everything's up in the zone, pretty straight. You see this pitch that Beltre hit. Watch, he's trying to go down and away, and he leaves it right over the middle.
Irvin Alston to the mound, but there's nobody warming up. Belisle in his last 2 outings, covering an inning and 2/3, has given up 9 hits and 7 runs. Batter will be Rougned Odor. Beltre getting his 2nd run producing hit. Earlier drove in a run with a single in the 4th. Twins have been out hit 11-3, with the Rangers adding 5 more hits here in the 9th against Matt Belisle. Blocked by Wilson. just to follow up on what we hope is a non-story, but regarding Rosario in left field, if his shoulder is giving him trouble, there are no options because there are no bench players left. Rosario is going to hit second in the bottom of this inning.
Well, hopefully it's not going to affect his swing at the plate. I know it's his throwing shoulder that's been bothering him.
Fly ball right field, and retreating is Mater. And the top of the ninth comes to a close, but the Rangers add 4 more. Not been a good night for the Twins. Mauer will lead off the bottom of the ninth. Mauer with an RBI double in the 6th. The only inning where the Twins have sent more than 3 men to the plate. Twins got a couple of doubles and a walk, 2 walks actually. Mauer deep to the left field corner, and a sliding attempt by Gallo, but it's a foul ball. And Gallo comes up slowly. Looks like he's all right. Twins got a hit, but sent just 3 men to the plate in the first, and there were 1, 2, 3 innings, and innings 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I think that's how an outfielder's supposed to play that ball, right? I mean,
yeah, you don't have a whole lot of choices right there. You've got to defend yourself. Harry gets to show us the raspberry that.
And another foul. Mauer, Rosario, and Dozier. Chavez out there to pitch to the Twins in the ninth. Just outside, didn't miss by much, 1 and 2.
This game has really changed. First 5 innings went by like don't blink, and the last couple have really slowed down.
You wonder what it's going to take to get this lineup to be more productive without some of the key players in the lineup.
That's just it. Number one, you got to get healthy. But, you know, during the course of a baseball season, every team goes through a stretch where they're a little banged up. And it's up to the other players to take up the slack and keep it rolling.
1-2. 2-2. Cleveland's opened up a 9-0 lead over Detroit. That game in the top of the 8th at Progressive Field. Poke to left, hit right at Gallo. And that's the first out of the 9th inning. And now Rosario.
Well, we'll see if Eddie Rosario shows any indication that his right shoulder is barking. Not with that swing. No, he's grabbing it.
Adrian Johnson took that foul ball off the mask, but no, that was not a timid swing, was it? You wonder if one of the options might be DHing Rosario for a while just to get him off his throwing program. But then that means either Joe Mauer or Logan Morrison's going to be on the bench. Morrison has struggled, and maybe that would be the short-term fix if there is a legitimate issue with his shoulder that needs some attention.
Has Mauer played a night game, day game yet? Since he's come on?
I think he has.
Has he?
As a designated hitter, but first baseman tonight, Rosario grounds out 2 away. And that'll bring up Brian Dozier. Dozier singled, thrown out, trying to stretch it into a double in the first. The Twins had a chance. They had a double, a walk, and a walk. There was a base running mistake by Ryan Lamar. The first 4 batters reached, but the Twins, with 2 doubles and a walk in those 4 plate appearances, only got 1 run. And they had 1 chance at the end of the inning, and Brian Dozier fouled out with 2 men in scoring position and 2 out. One and 0. The Twins have not had a base runner since. 2-0. And a strike.
I guess that's what makes it a little bit frustrating is 7 of the 8 innings played so far with a chance here in the 9th. 8 out of 9 possibly. 3 guys go to the plate.
Off the end of the bat and hit right to Gallo. And the Rangers extend their winning streak to 6. They had lost 7 games in a row, and they have followed that up now by winning their next 6.
Well, probably make you happy if you're a Ranger fan. But Twins fans probably wonder what's going on. A couple back-to-back clunkers. Porcello yesterday with Boston. Today Mike Minor made it look easy over 6 innings. So they got to start figuring out their offense.
We'll see if the Twins can get that figured out tomorrow in Game 2.
They managed only 3 hits in this one. Rangers take the series opener 8-1. Coming up on Twins Live, we'll show you how Minor outdueled Romero. We'll continue our look at prospect night. We'll hear from Paul Molitor, and we'll preview Game 2. It's all next on Twins Live.